Hey, what's going on? So this video is why I chose the WRX and specifically why it was a WRX versus an STI. When I started looking for these cars, I was actually dead set on getting an STI because I thought it was the better of the two, as it's always been, and it actually should be that way. But I had no idea that they updated the engine in 2015 on the WRX, but they did not update the STI. So at that time I still had my F80 M3 and I was actually getting really bored with the car. And it was an awesome car and overall, but it was just like too much for me, as far as like, it was too nice, it was too luxurious, and I just wanted to go back to the basics. You know, start off with a base car. And I used to have a 350Z back in the day, and that's the car I had the most fun with. And I've modified everything I could on it. And I have some videos on it, you can check it out later. But I just wanted to go back to that, like wrenching and just having a car that I wasn't afraid to mess up and was gonna do a lot of extensive like modifications to, just to make it mine. And I don't know, just really was missing that. Plus I was really missing driving a manual, and the BMW was a dual clutch, which was not all that great. So yeah, I basically started looking for these cars and like looking at them and just thinking about them, like looking at the modifications that I could do. Then one time I actually test drove both an STI and a WRX, and for sure I thought the STI would be superior in every way. But when I drove it, there was something about the motor that was like that felt really lazy, and just the torque wouldn't kick in until like 5,000 RPM. And although once it kicked in, it was quite fun and the sound was awesome, and I don't know, but it didn't have that punch, you know, like the WRX has that instant punch after 2,000 RPM. It just kind of puts you back into the seat, and I really liked that. So I test drove the STI, and then I hopped into a WRX right after, the same day, and then I test drove that. Then I immediately thought to myself, man, that's the engine I want. And I didn't know anything about like the better steering ratio in the STI, and the better gearbox, things like that. So that I actually had to learn later. But overall, the engine itself was the defining factor, and the price wasn't really important to me. I mean, of course it's good to save money on the car, but at that point, coming from an M3, I thought, you know, even an STI being like $38,000, $42,000 range, and the BMW was like something like 82,000. I leased it. It was, you know, I thought to myself that was a bargain to get an STI. Long story short, I went with a WRX and I just couldn't have been happier. There are a few things that STI has over the WRX that I'm actually missing or was missing, which are the better transmission, the more direct, you know, directly connected shift, because the cable linked transmission system here in the WRX, it still has a little bit of wobble, like when you move the stick up and down. And just like the overall feel in the STI transmission, it's just better, because I drove it many times after that. And also the steering ratio in the STI is tighter. So what that means is you basically have to turn the wheel a little bit less, or quite a bit less actually, to do the same turning. So that you notice the most in like canyons, on the freeway, or even on the street. So yeah, that's something I definitely wish I had, because all the things that I've done to the WRX so far they have sharpened the steering and improved it a lot, but they haven't really got it to even close to the level of the STI like response. Well, not the response, but the ratio, right? So I see it a lot on the twisty roads when I have to turn the wheel more than I wish I had to. But for like daily driving and stuff, people who daily drive these cars, you really don't need that, you know, the tighter ratio, although it's nice to have. And the other stuff is the brakes. Of course, the brakes on the STI are much better. It's the bigger Brembos, you know. But as you can see, I did upgrade my brakes to ProdigyWerks, but you know, not a lot of people get to do that with a WRX. So this is actually the question I always get, both on Instagram and YouTube. So now you know. I mean, literally, the engine was the defining factor for me. And the STI is honestly an amazing car, but overall, it just wasn't the car for me in this generation. But yeah, for sure the next gen, if I do decide to get another one, it has to be an STI, because you know, it's the ultimate sort of car of the two. You know, I hope in the next gen they do it right as far as the engine and stuff. So the new STI is supposed to have 2.4 liter engine, you know, FA. Yeah, but so far I'm like really happy with this car. I don't see myself like switching anytime soon, you know. Plus, I would never get like the first year of production. There's always like these small issues that they end up resolving in the next years. So, I mean, the rule of thumb is to always get the last year of production, but nobody waits that long. So, and basically, which car is right for you? And the answer is simply like, what kind of driving do you do? You know, do you do just daily driving? Do you do a lot of freeway driving? You know, when you commute? If you commute a lot, get a WRX any day, because the MPG on these cars, even my with the tune that I have, this PhatBotti tune, I get like 30 mpg easily on the freeway if I just baby it around like 78, 80 miles an hour. You know, but STI gets something like 23 mpg freeway, so that's really too low. So even the M3 I had, it got actually like really good gas mileage on the freeway compared to the STI. So that makes no sense for me. So the reason the STI feels laggier than the WRX is because they're using a single scroll turbo versus a twin scroll turbo here, and also unequal length headers in the STI versus equal length headers here. That's why you don't get the rumble in this car, because the rumble is produced by that unequal length. A lot of people love the rumble and they just can't live without it, I guess. So if that's something you like, you would definitely be happier with an STI. If all you do is city driving here and there, you know, daily your car, then MPG doesn't really matter at that point. As far as the visual aspect between the two cars, they're pretty much identical. I mean, if you take away the wing and the nicer brakes in the STI, they visually look pretty much the same. So as you can tell, I've modified my car quite a bit, and this is what it looked like when I got it. So you can see you can make your car into anything you want. So the visual aspect of the STI should never be even a question. They're pretty much the same car. As far as the wing, you can always get one for your WRX. Like, a lot of people will give you crap for it, but if you want it, why not? I personally wanted one at first, but then I changed my mind, and I changed my mind again, and I just like back and forth. And I decided no more wings. But lately I've actually been wanting a wing, so what I ended up doing was buying a GT wing and building a lot of elements myself for it. If you ask me right now, like, which car would you choose if you were to do it all over again in this generation, I would totally get a WRX again, like, no question. And that's mainly because of the engine. So of course you also can't deny the lower price of the WRX. This one was like 28.5 or something like that. To be honest, I forgot. But if you really like the car, like, you'll pay the extra, no problem. I mean, if you can afford it. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and just keep in mind, these are my thoughts and opinions, and if you like one car over the other, just by all means go get it. You know, I got what I wanted, so I still like STIs every time I see one. You know, I don't care what it is, WRX or STI. I'm not biased towards one or the other. When it's like something nice, I don't care what car it is. So it's all about how you modify yours. If you just get a STI and you don't do anything with it, you know, you just lower it on stock wheels, then it's gonna look like crap, you know. Same with the WRX. So it's all about mods. I think these cars and many other cars are all about modifications. So they're almost like meant for that. All right, I'll see you in the next one.